Hey, what's going on, guys? This is Avengers issue number 44. I hope you will like it because it's super cool issue and this is a must buy issue. You can say it also, and you should go to the store and buy this book. Yes, not even from the friends. You have to go to the store because it will be really fun just going to the store and buy this book. Okay, anyway, so here we go with the review period from this one, and this review is from adventuresinportis.com, and this reviewer is Jordan Richards. So is it good? Avengers 44, the end of Marvel's Earth is upon us as we enter the final issue of Hickman's Avengers. Will this book end on a satisfying note, or will it fall flat in its atoms? Is it good? Here we go with this. There's a lot here to cover in the story summation, so I'm just going to skip that and get straight into the review this time around. Avengers 44 is a comic that has some good parts to it, some average parts to it, and some parts that are bad. As a lead into Secret Wars, the comic does a good job setting things up that will lead into the upcoming big event, big cliffhanger, lots of unanswered questions, and other various components. However, as an ending to this series as a whole, it leaves a lot to be desired, honestly, so let's start from the top. Focusing on the comics as a prologue to Secret Wars, it gets the job done. It sets up the stakes for the Marvel world with the end of everything happening around. So how our heroes are reacting from the Shield Avengers to the Illuminati and what they are planning to do with so little time left. We see the other Earth that our main universe is facing down in the Lost Incarnation, so the comic builds them up as well. Sure, there's not really much emotion going on in the scene since the comic is preoccupied with showing characters planning. You think that the potential end of their worlds would give way to parts where the characters express how they're feeling or show the intense drama feeling of what they're going through, but none of that is apparently important. But from a story perspective, it lays down the groundwork for what we will be seeing in Secret Wars rather well. There's potential for good hype here depending on how you've been feeling towards this comic. However, as an ending for this series, I would say that this is pretty poor. There's no real sense of finality or closure to the comic at all. It's very much like Future's End in the sense the comic reaches a point in the story where things have only gotten worse and the comic decides to just end right there. It's rather disappointing and makes for a very unfulfilling experience if you were just to read this series alone. People insist that there is more to the story with Secret Wars coming and that the comic wasn't really supposed to have an ending itself. Though I'm extremely concerned that this event comic will not be able to wrap up everything in a satisfactory manner, but that's not the point. I'm judging this comic by itself as a whole as I would with any other comic, and in that light it's not satisfying. So thematically pointless is probably the biggest key player in this comic. Nothing the characters can do at this point can stop the end of everything, so they have pretty much given up outside of maybe trying to rescue just a few people. What great superheroes, almost the entire fleet of gladiators is completely wiped out in a few pages, making their attempt to destroy the Earth and save the universe pointless. Not to mention the whole plot point felt superfluous in the ground scheme. It's revealed that Tony Stark had the feeling that everything the characters would be doing in this series would be pointless and wouldn't be enough to stop the end of their world. Therefore, mind-wiping Captain America building bombs to destroy worlds, committing mass genocide, inadvertently creating the Cable, and so much more has been pointless. Some say that's the point of the story, everything dies. But does it really make for a story that's good or even really matters? Especially when superhero comics do have that tendency of just going on and on, so the opposite of everything dies. That's why. But overall, I like this issue and the artwork, the theme, and the all over the style of this artwork. I love in it whole the time of Avengers series. But moving beyond that, what else is there to the issue itself? Character wise, it's still very limited and hollow. It's limited in the sense that there's not a whole lot of characterization or moments than when the characters can be themselves. It's hollow because the characters never express emotion or real opinions. Everything they say is technical, something that is meant to sound profound, like the scene in White House with Black Panther, and are plot related. You never feel the gravity of the situation from the people, since they themselves seem almost completely emotionless at points. The only people who have anything really character focused or show emotions are Steve Rogers and Tony Stark, but it mostly just extends to them yelling at each other or beating the other up. It's kind of empty, and considering how long this whole bitterness has been going on, feels rather tired and played out, except for the two punching each other, though that's a bit tired as well with the whole hero versus hero thing at this point. So then we get to the writing. The pacing is much better in this issue than in most of the series up until now, and that's mostly because there's actually a lot happening. There are a lot of scenes that are very heavy on the story, which makes for a much more filling and meaty comic than usual. The dialogue is pretty much devoid of character and emotion, besides the opening and ending scenes with Steve and Tony, while indulging in a lot of discussions that are only plot related, where the characters try to sound profound and deep. So is it good? Avengers issue 44 is a comic that I'm very mixed in on. On one hand, as a prologue to Secret Wars, it does a pretty solid job building things up and leading into it. There are improvements to the writing in some areas, like the pacing most that noticeably, but on the other hand, the issue is a very poor finale for this series as a whole, and it lacks in a lot of drama. This is the end of the world as the characters know it, but there's so little passion, emotion, or feelings here that it doesn't do a good enough job of making you feel the desperation and horror of that is everyone should be experiencing. As such, it's hard to really give this a strong recommendation or even condemnation. In the end, all I can say is that if you made it this far, you might as well read this issue regardless. So pros and cons from this issue is you have to read it and you will enjoy it because it's really needed to know before the Secret Wars, the explosions, and the artwork is really cool. So as a prologue to Secret Wars, it succeeds. The writing and mechanics feel improved in areas such as the pacing. Stefano Caselli does a good job with the art in his sections. So there is only Secret Wars concert adds an ending to Avengers. It falls flat, but lacking the motion and characterization beside for Tony and Steve. Kev Walker's artwork does not fit the feel or tone of the book, so you can buy this storybook, and this comic is really cool. If you enjoy the story for Secret Wars, that will be really great. So go to the store and buy this book. This will help the creators also, and don't forget to leave a like, and it will be great if you rate me then by clicking the like. That will be cool. So have a great day, guys. Adios.